Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be covering career tips for data engineers, including in-demand skills, different types of data engineers, how they differ from data scientists, and much more. More specifically, in today's video, we will be covering the key data engineering tools, common data engineer specializations, along with job titles, differences in job responsibilities, and an increase in hybrid roles, data engineers versus data scientists, and career tips, including key skills that set you apart, the importance of soft skills, and the importance of continuous learning. For those of you who aren't familiar with Burtch Works, we're an executive recruiting firm specializing in quantitative fields like analytics, data science, and data engineering. Over the past several years, Burtch Works market insights have been repeatedly mentioned in the press, including The Economist, The New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and the Chicago Tribune, among many others. Burtch Works has also been repeatedly recognized by Forbes as one of America's best recruiting firms. Our data engineering recruiting team shares their expertise with thousands of data engineers and their employers, including plenty of resources about data engineering careers and hiring on the Burtch Works blog and YouTube channel. Data engineering is a specialty that relies very heavily on tool knowledge, and there are a lot of them to learn. Obviously, the exact tools required will vary from role to role, but these are some of the most common ones we usually receive requested by employers. Hadoop, Spark, Python, Scala, SQL, AWS, Azure, Docker, Snowflake, Airflow. Often, the attitude is the more the merrier, but luckily there are plenty of resources like Coursera or EDX that you can use to pick up new tools if your current employer isn't pursuing them or giving you the resources to learn them at work. Overall, we find that the data engineers with the strongest skill sets are always those who are constantly evolving with the latest trends in technology. Even if your current employer isn't giving you the opportunity to explore big data tools like Hadoop, Spark, Scala, etc., staying up to date is more important than ever, even if that means taking classes online or switching jobs to get the experience you need to stay marketable. As the data engineering field continues to evolve alongside shifts and advancements in technology, there have been some specializations emerging that focus on different backgrounds and job responsibilities. Job titles are, of course, fluid and can vary greatly depending on the organization. Depending on who you're talking to, even data engineering could mean something completely different. Since many are unsure how to define these areas, we're going to cover 5 common focus areas in data engineering. We'll outline their typical responsibilities and mention some of the other job titles you may hear. First up is Big Data Engineer. Big data engineers typically have software engineering backgrounds. They design and build complex data pipelines, work closely with data scientists to put code into production, and they typically use a lot of tools and are expert coders using Python, Java, Scala, or maybe C++. They'll have experience in Hadoop ecosystems, Spark, AWS, etc. Second is the business intelligence engineer. BI engineers typically have data warehousing backgrounds. They work to understand and gather business requirements to then design and build reporting solutions. They support data warehouses, ETL, dashboards, and reports. Common tools and technologies for these professionals can include SSIS, Power BI, Tableau, RDBMS systems, and MicroStrategy. We often see lots of confusion on the difference between a data engineer and a BI engineer. But typically a BI engineer is working with smaller amounts of structured data and comes from more of a data administration or warehousing background. Third is the machine learning engineer. Machine learning engineer is what I would call a hybrid role. This role bridges the gap between data engineering and data science. These folks come from data engineering backgrounds and have enough experience to be proficient in both data engineering and data science. They take what a data scientist finds and gets it ready for production. They create the last part of the data science pipeline, which could be rewriting code from R, Python to Java or Scala. Number 4 is the computer vision engineer. Computer vision engineers will usually have a software engineering background, specializing in machine learning or deep learning techniques in relation to object detection, pattern recognition, face recognition, object tracking, etc. They are a mix between data and machine learning engineers and use tools like Python, C++, OpenCV, MATLAB, Java, and Spark. Oftentimes, they'll have a master's or a PhD in computer science. And number 5, we have the data architect. Data architects will usually have software engineering or database admin backgrounds. They are the go-to data management person who works closely with the business users to make sure all needs are met. They have extensive knowledge of databases and a strong understanding of how data relates to business operations. They develop data architecture and work with a team of data engineers to execute the data strategy. There are many different types of roles in this space, however, so some other data engineering job titles you might hear would include Hadoop developer, BI developer, quantitative data engineer, search engineer, ML ops engineer, solutions architect, data warehouse engineer, data science software engineer, ETL developer, and that's just to name a few. We often get a lot of questions from employers and professionals alike about the plethora of job titles that specializations that are emerging in this profession. But we also wanted to talk a little bit about how data engineers differ from data scientists. We're seeing an increased interest from clients looking to hire big data engineers who deal with data from end to end, including statistics and modeling. The data engineer title is still fairly new, and data scientists used to be required to do it all. Breaking it up and having a data engineer do one thing and a data scientist do another is really important, as it's difficult for someone to be an expert in so many different things all at once. These skill sets are different. Yes, there is a lot of overlap, but it is extremely difficult to have one person be efficient in performing both responsibilities. One client recently described a machine learning engineer as a full stack data scientist. And we've been specifically noticing an increase in these roles within the medical and healthcare related fields. This focus on finding someone who can do it all could potentially be because of the type of data these professionals are dealing with, including Internet of Things or streaming data. So what's the difference between data engineers and data scientists? Here are some of the most common skills and responsibilities for data scientists and data engineers. Data scientists will analyze data to glean insights and prescribe action, and they have quantitative skills to develop statistical models. They may work with structured data, but more often they'll be working with unstructured streaming data. Data scientists often have domain experience to fully contextualize their data and analysis. While they have programming skills to analyze data, their coding skills usually are not at the same level as a data engineer because they don't need to be. Data engineers use their programming skills to build data products. They can specialize in distributed systems, often including cloud technologies. They may build complex and highly scalable data pipelines, big data frameworks, etc. Strong data engineers are experts at picking tools and techniques in order to build that pipeline, and they may understand data science concepts and principles and may do some analysis, but typically not at the same level as a data scientist. Although data scientists may also be adept at data acquisition or cleaning and transformation, the skill that often differentiates them from data engineers is their ability to analyze data and develop insights from that data. There are many similarities and often skill overlap between data engineers and data scientists. However, the main differences are that data engineers' skills will lean more towards programming and software engineering to build highly scalable data products, while data scientists will focus more on advanced statistical analysis to pull insights out of the data and bring value to the business. They also tend to have different academic backgrounds, with data scientists more likely to come from a statistics or mathematics background, as well as computer science, engineering, or physics. Many will have a master's or a PhD. Data engineers may have a degree in computer science, computer engineering, information systems, or information technology. They will typically have a bachelor's or master's, and it's less common to see a PhD in this group. Both may use a wide variety of tools to tackle their work. We've listed some of the common ones we tend to see here, but we're hearing about new ones all the time. To dig into this a little further, here's a trend from our 2021 Data Engineering Predictions and Trends video from earlier this year. In it, we discussed a larger trend that we're seeing, which is the increasing prevalence of hybrid roles, or companies attempting to find someone for a hybrid role. One example could be a role with data engineering, machine learning engineering, and DevOps all rolled into one position. There are a few potential reasons why we might see companies doing this. One is that if the data organization is still relatively green, they might not be exactly sure what they need yet or what makes most sense for them. So they're looking to find someone who can do a little bit of everything. Another reason could be with a small company who might have a limited ability to hire a large team of data professionals. So they want to find someone or a few people who can wear a lot of hats. This is a very common situation. Having this type of experience, especially early on in your career, can be very beneficial. But we found that some data engineers can find these positions frustrating if they find themselves spending a lot of time doing tasks that aren't in their primary skill set. Now I wanted to cover some career tips, including key skills that will set you apart, the importance of soft skills, and the importance of continuous learning. Whether it's wanting data engineers that can better interact with the rest of the data science team, or looking for professionals that can actually assemble models in TensorFlow, there are a few skills that tend to make a data engineer resume pop, including an understanding of machine learning and artificial intelligence concepts and techniques, and hands-on experience developing reports and dashboards. Especially as its use becomes more widespread, data engineers have experience with machine learning in any capacity will usually have a leg up on their competition during the interview process. Often, companies will have substantial amounts of data that needs to be transferred from legacy systems, or they'll want to be able to make data more accessible via dashboards or other visualization methods. If you're interested in learning more about data engineer trends as well as resumes and how to create one that really highlights your experience very well, check out our other videos on YouTube. We have some great resources to help you out. Data engineering is a very technically intensive field that generally requires advanced programming skills and a vast toolkit. With that in mind, we wanted to address some of the non-technical skills that are critical to landing the perfect job and performing well in almost any data engineering role. Increasingly, data engineering jobs require well-developed communication skills, which can sometimes be overlooked in such a technical field. You can be a master programmer, but if you have trouble explaining your experience or work process, that may hold you back in your search. Written communication is crucial in the first few steps of the hiring process, as your resume is often the very first thing a hiring professional will see from you. Be sure to clean up your resume before you submit it to any job, and make sure to fix any grammatical, punctuation, or spelling mistakes before sending it to an employer. Verbal communication is an especially important soft skill because it becomes apparent the moment you talk to a recruiter or hiring professional. First impressions matter, and an interviewer will notice almost immediately if you have difficulty explaining your skills and experience in a concise and understandable way. A hiring professional will be looking for a couple of specific skills during an interview, including how well you can describe a project you worked on. And unless it's a technical interview, it's generally best to start with a high-level description instead of getting bogged down in the technical details, at least until you're asked to expand on your experience. Recruiters are also looking to see how well you can organize your thoughts and speak clearly, since this can be an essential skill when working with others on the data engineering team, as well as other business units. Here are some tips that can help data engineers to improve their communication. It can be helpful to write out short descriptions of your previous projects beforehand, so you can prepare and become comfortable explaining your experience. It's important to keep any description concise, and while you don't necessarily need to memorize the script, practicing them can be very helpful. You can also try to explain your projects or work responsibilities to someone with no technical background, such as a friend, family member, or roommate. It's also important to optimize your environment for an interview. For example, if you're conducting a phone interview, make sure you're in a quiet place so that your interviewer can hear you clearly. If it's a video interview, such as Zoom or Skype, make sure to check your background before the call. Often, data engineers will interact with other business-oriented teams in gathering requirements and laying out the scope of a project. Because of this, it's important for data engineers to be able to show that they understand the underlying business problem that they are working to address. To put it simply, a data engineer needs to know and be able to articulate why they are doing what they're doing for the company at large, how their work will help the company's bottom line, and to understand how their work is impacting the business. It's also become increasingly common for companies to include a presentation in their interview process. This is another way that they try to gauge your communication skills and ability to work with business-oriented teams. These presentations can sometimes be sharing your findings from a case study or project you've done. Once complete, you will typically have to explain your work to a member of the hiring team. This is another opportunity for you to showcase your ability to communicate and summarize your work from a higher level. What does this mean for you? With many companies incorporating some form of presentation as part of their interview process, here's our advice on how to dazzle your interviewers with your knowledge. Number 1, ask for guidelines and a time frame. Who will you be presenting to? How long is the presentation expected to be? Knowing who you'll be presenting to can help you judge which data and insights to include and incorporate specific examples tailored to your audience. And having a time frame will help you plan your presentation length, as well as allocate time to answer questions at the end. Number 2, practice your presentation. It sounds self-explanatory, right? However, if you're in the middle of a big work project or juggling multiple interviews, it can be tempted to skip practice. While you don't want to sound like a script reading robot, setting aside an hour to organize what you'd like to say can make a huge difference. Number 3, anticipate and prepare for questions. Another benefit to practicing your presentation is that it allows you to anticipate areas where your audience might have further questions and to prepare further details and data that you can provide. Make sure you are familiar with the company you're presenting to and what type of tools and technology they use to keep your presentation relevant to their business. Balancing technical and non-technical is key. Try to strike a balance between technical details and more business-focused insights. Obviously, you want to demonstrate that you know your tools, but try not to get so deep into the technical aspects that you miss the bigger picture. Focus your presentation on what the information you're providing means to the business and offer a suggested course of action based on those insights. While you should aim to be relatively concise, it's important to address any questions along the way so that you can further clarify if necessary. And secondly, be aware of your audience. It can be easy to get caught up in the details of methodologies, techniques, tools, etc., since this is what your day-to-day work encompasses. But it's important to be in touch with who you're speaking to and to tailor your presentation accordingly. Are you presenting to your future manager? Or is it to a non-technical business stakeholder? If you seem to be losing your audience, you may need to adjust your approach. And third, ask for feedback. If you don't end up getting a job offer, ask your interviewers for feedback so that you can improve your approach for next time. It can be tough to hear critical feedback, but it will help make your future presentations that much stronger. Also worth mentioning, though it's not quite presentation related, is the importance of sending thank you emails after interviews. Sending a personalized email to each person that you speak with gives you the opportunity to demonstrate your interest in the position and is an expected courtesy. Strong soft skills are essential for data engineering leadership roles. Generally, senior level data engineering leadership roles will require strong communication, collaboration, and presentation skills in order to effectively establish a data strategy or roadmap. It is often a requirement for data engineer leaders to present their plans and ideas to various business units and executive leaders. In addition, strong communication and collaboration skills are invaluable when building and mentoring a strong group of junior data engineers and will contribute to the overall team's success. We just showered you with quite a bit of information on the data engineering space. It's a lot, so how can you keep up? First, keep an eye on current trends, including changes in tools and technologies. Second, focus on continuous learning to keep your knowledge current, such as checking out online courses and certifications. There are many options for learning and adding to your toolkit and skill set. Want to learn more about machine learning? Browse the offerings on Coursera, Udacity, or Udemy. Some universities even offer online certificates as well. Data engineering tools will continue to evolve, so stay aware of new developments in your area. If you only learn how to use one tool and then that tool becomes obsolete, you might have trouble adapting your skills. Data engineering articles. Seek out books and blogs and magazines, etc., that are tailored specifically to data engineers. There are a lot of great resources out there, and the more informed you are about the latest tools, skills, and trends, the better prepared you'll be for changes in the market. In addition to keeping an eye on data engineering trends, it's also wise to keep a general awareness of the political and financial news climate, especially how this affects the industry you're working in, such as finance, for example, because this can help give you a wider business context. Also, contact recruiters to stay aware of job market trends. And no, we're not just saying this because we are recruiters. Talking to recruiters can give you an overall sense for the job market on hiring trends that top-line job statistics might not necessarily capture. Recruiters can also give you a sense for what data engineering tools and skills are most in demand, since they work with a variety of clients. And finally, check out Burtch Works. Time for a little shameless self-promotion. All kidding aside, we do put together a variety of career resources specifically for data engineers, and they are all free for you to access. We post career advice and industry trends and research on our blog and upload career videos to our YouTube channel. If you're looking to stay up to date on all of these things, following us on LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. Number 3, networking. While it can be tricky, expanding your network in your field can help you advance your career. How can you prepare for networking? Keep your LinkedIn profile and resume updated. This should almost go without saying. Even if you aren't currently looking, you always want your profile to be professional and represent you in the best light. Practice talking points about background and interests. Networking can be nerve-wracking for many, and even if there's not the case for you, practicing talking about your background and yourself can help you stay focused on the points that you want to get across. Even simply reading through your resume a few times and thinking of questions that you'd like to ask other people can be beneficial. And here are some places that you can network online. Join associations or professional organizations. Joining and attending luncheons, conferences, or networking events can introduce you to other professionals that are in your field. Join your alumni association. Look to see if your school has any relevant alumni associations or events. Attend meetups. Aside from more formal organizations, many areas also have a vibrant meetup community where data engineers can gather and share ideas, discuss topics, or view presentations. There are many meetup groups online as well. Attend conferences. Keep an eye on conferences and meetings to see if there are any that might be feasible for you to attend. And again, now that so many conferences and meetups have gone virtual, it's easier than ever to find ones that might work for you. So that wraps up our career tips for data engineers. Remember that the most important thing you can do is stay ahead, is to keep learning. This space and its tools will keep evolving throughout your career. So you need to stay adaptable as things change. For more hiring market insights, check out burtchworks.com/blog, where you can find blogs on COVID-19 hiring trends, skills, and interviewing tips specifically for data engineers and hiring advice. If you're looking to add to your data engineering staff, we'd be happy to speak with you and do some brainstorming. We offer contingency, retained, and contract services from entry level up to senior leadership. Just send an email to us at info@burtchworks.com and you will learn a lot. You can also follow Burtch Works across our social media channels to stay up to date on our latest posts. And on our YouTube channel, you can find 2021 predictions for data engineering with more data engineering career videos coming soon. If you'd like to see if we have roles that are a fit for your experience, email info@burtchworks.com to start the process. Thank you for viewing and have a great day.